In the last sessions, we have covered different considerations required for developing new product. Let us see different basic parameters required for analytics of machine design. In machine, different parts are subjected to various forces. We are going to discuss in this section that different forces acting on machine part produces various types of stresses and their effects. What is load? Load is any external force acting on machine component. There are two types of load. One, static load. Second, dynamic load. Let us see static load. Static load is said to be a dead load. It does not change its direction and magnitude with respect to time. For example, as shown in the figure, the car is parking in a parking area. Another example, that is building or structural component resting on the ground. Now, let us see dynamic load. It is nothing but the load that changes magnitude and its direction. We can divide dynamic load into two groups. The first group named as variable load. When load changes its magnitude, that load is called as variable load. For example, as shown in the figure, a person is standing on string. Load varies due to swinging of person on the string. Another load, that is suddenly applied or impact load. A load is suddenly applied with certain velocity on another component. That load is called as suddenly applied or impact load. We'll take one example, that is punch of press machine. Hammers on the component placed over the die as shown in the figure. Let us revise the term stress. What is stress? When an external load or force acting on the body, the internal forces are set up at various sections of body. These forces resist external forces. These internal forces per unit area at any section of body is known as stress. There are different types of stresses like tensile stress, compressive stress, crushing stress, bearing stress, shear stress. Let us see tensile stress. When a component is subjected to two equal and opposite axial pulls as shown in the figure, then the stress induced at any section of body is called tensile stress. The stress is measured in Newton per meter square, pascals or Newton per millimeter square. Now we'll see compressive stress. When a body is subjected to two equal and opposite axial push or compressive force as shown in the figure, then the stress is induced at any section of body is called as compressive stress. Let us see shear stress. When a body is subjected to two equal and opposite forces acting tangentially across the resisting section, as a result of which the body tends to shear off the section, then the stress induced is called shear stress. In the slide, there are two figures are shown. The upper figure is of single shear stress and the second figure is of double shear stress. Consider a body consists of two plates connected by a rivet as shown in the upper figure. In this case, tangential force P tends to shear off the rivet at one cross section. When shearing takes place at one cross section, then rivet are said to be in a single shear. Now let us say another example where two plates are covered by two cover plates at two cross section. Then tangential force is resisted by two cross section of the rivet. When shearing takes place, then the rivets are said to be in double shear. For example, when holes are to be punched or drilled in a plate, then the metal resists the force of cutting tool. The resisting force at cross section is known as shearing stress. Let us see crushing stress. In crushing stress, there is no relative motion between two meeting components as shown in the figure. The resisting area is the product of circumference and thickness of plate. Crushing occurs at exterior surface of rivet. Crushing resistance depends upon the number of rivets used for joining the plates. Let us see bearing stress. A compressive stress at the contact surface between two members that are relatively at rest are called bearing stress, as shown in the figure and animation. Journal exerts a bearing pressure on curved surface. For example, journal bearings, pins used in levers are subjected to bearing stress.